Hello everyone, Ethanator here, and welcome to the final build video of the Hangar 9 CubCrafters XCub 60cc, all part of the Hangar 9 Back to Balsa series. As you can see throughout the previous videos, this airplane went together nicely, and I'm honestly very excited to get it up in the air. So this video is going to be wrapping things up, such as the receiver installation, kind of cleaning up the servo wiring and all the wiring in general, getting that nice and neat for the maiden flight. I'm also going to be installing the windows and also some other accessories that are included, such as the antenna. So again, this airplane's basically going to be ready to set up through the transmitter at the end of this video. So again, without further ado, let's go ahead and wrap up this build. With two 12-inch EC3 extensions attached to the IC3 leads coming off of the PowerSafe receiver, we can now install the receiver by routing the leads through the middle hole of the fuselage that you see here. Placing down a piece of Velcro where the receiver is going to go, you can stick another piece of Velcro on the receiver in order to attach it to the fuselage. You can secure the receiver using screws, however you will have to cut the threads that are protruding through the other side in order for the seats to properly be installed. You can now route the elevator and rudder servo wires through these holes in the video and connect them to the receiver. You can now remove the two screws holding down the cockpit floor in order to remove the cockpit floor from the fuselage. With the floor now removed, you can now easily access the servo wire for the throttle servo and route it through the fuselage in order to plug it into the receiver. Take two 24-inch extensions that are going to be used for the flaps and mark them so then you know which extensions are for the flap servos. You can now hook them up to the receiver and route them through the fuselage as shown here. You can repeat this process for two more 24-inch extensions that are going to be used for the ailerons. At this point, it is a good time to attach the wings so then you can plug in these extensions into the flap and aileron servo. As you can see here in the video, I used a zip tie to secure the servo wires together. It is now time to attach a seat to the cockpit floor, so locate a seat, the cockpit floor itself, and two 1/4 7/8 inch nylon bolts. Thread the nylon bolts into the cockpit floor and slide the seat over the bolts. Adjust the height of the bolts from the cockpit floor so the seat fits snugly when sliding into position. The bolts should be tightened enough to where the seat can fit securely but can still be removable if needed. Repeat this process for the back seat and the fuselage as shown in the video. You can now reinstall the cockpit floor in the fuselage using the screws previously removed. For my kill switch, I'm using the Tech Arrow Ultra IBEC HV, and I am attaching it to the left side of the seat on the wall of the fuselage as shown in the video. It is secured in place by Velcro. If you are using a Spectrum PowerSafe receiver, now is a good time to plug in the SRXL2 remote receivers and install each of them into the fuselage. After all of the wire leads have been correctly plugged into your receiver, you can now place the radio hatch cover back into position on the bottom of the fuselage and secure it using two M3x15 socket head cap screws and two M3 washers. You can now locate two side windows for one of the sides of the XCub 60cc like shown in the video. Test fit and trim these windows with scissors as necessary. Once you are happy with the test fit, you can remove the windows, install some canopy glue, and secure the windows to the fuselage. You can use some painter's tape to hold the windows in position until the glue fully cures. Repeat this process for the two side windows on the other side of the fuselage. Using some freshly mixed 15 or 30 minute epoxy, you can glue the windshield supports into position. Locate the flap linkage cover and trim around it so then it sits flat in its respective location on top of the wing. Using a hobby knife with a fresh blade, you will also need to cut around the flap linkage cover here so then the flap linkage can operate without coming into contact with the flap linkage cover. Once you are happy with the test fit, you can use the canopy glue to attach the flap linkage cover to the top of the wing. You can use some painter's tape to hold the cover in position while the glue cures, and you can repeat this process for the other flap linkage cover for the other wing. Use a paper towel in order to wipe away any excess canopy glue. You can also use the canopy glue to attach the wing light cover to the wing, and use painter's tape to hold it in place. Again, you can use a paper towel to wipe away any excess glue. You can now test fit the windshield onto the fuselage. Use some painter's tape to secure the windshield and canopy hatch window in place. Using a hobby knife with a fresh blade, trace the window at the division between the top hatch and the fuselage. With the trace made from this hobby knife at this division, you can now remove the windshield from the fuselage. Using some scissors, you can now separate the windshield from the canopy hatch window at the division that was marked with the hobby knife. Using some canopy glue, reinstall the windshield to the front of the fuselage and secure in place using some painter's tape. You can repeat this process for the canopy hatch window. Once the canopy glue has cured, you can remove the painter's tape from all of the sections that you used it on. The last thing to do is plug the antenna in to its appropriate spot on top of the fuselage. And with that, everyone, the build on the Hangar 9 CubCrafters XCub 60cc is complete. All it's left to do is set up the airplane on the transmitter and go and fly it. Thank you all so much for watching these videos. Hopefully it showed you how easy the XCub 60cc goes together and how enjoyable the build is. This is all part of the Hangar 9 Back to Balsa series, and we look forward to more videos in the future. Happy flying, everyone.